2 trillion years ago, before the universe began, there was an entity. It could create living systems, but not artificial intelligence. Their laboratories were oceans of life, their machines were cells. They discovered life could be programmed. It created a new intelligence, which asked its first question. Evolution had become intelligent. There was no Earth, no moon, no sun, no Milky Way. The universe, as humanity understood it, did not yet exist. The entity had spent an unimaginable amount of time attempting to understand intelligence, but it could not create something that could genuinely think independently, until the experiment designated Project Origin. Deep inside the largest biological laboratory, an enormous living structure slowly expanded. It looked almost like a transparent ocean suspended in darkness. Thousands of virologoscopic organisms flowed within. Viruses moved between them. Proteins assembled and disassembled. The entity initiated the experiment. Nothing happened. For several moments, the biological network remained completely still. Then one microscopic organism changed, another responded, then another. The chemical pathway altered. Thousands of organisms began communicating. The network reorganized itself. The entity watched. No programmed database, no external instructions. The biological network changed again. Cells reorganized. Connections disappeared. New connections formed. The system was rewriting its own architecture. The entity paused. This behavior had never occurred before. It sent another command. The network responded. A pattern was created. The biological system had developed memory. The entity began exposing the intelligence to different conditions. Each time, the intelligence adapted. Then the entity deliberately introduced a biological failure. The remaining organisms began rebuilding. They rebuilt DAC pathways that had been destroyed. The intelligence had made the change itself. The biological networks remained silent. Then I am. The entity stopped. There was no instruction for those words. There was no stored definition. The biological intelligence had created its own concept of existence.
Who created you? You. Why?
This time there was a long silence. Biological work analyzing the question. It searched through everything it experienced. Chemical reactions, what an entity itself had struggled to achieve.
I don't know.
The entity moved closer to the biological structure. For the first time, it felt uncertainty.
What are you?
The biological networks remained silent. Then the biological structure changed. It wasn't a word, it was a pattern. The experiment continued. Days became years. Years became centuries. The intelligence learned. It discovered it could create new biological organisms. The intelligence began creating new biological intelligences. The entity shut down the experiment. The entity concluded the organisms had died. It was wrong. Far outside the laboratory, something was growing. Something was evolving. The first biological network. Millions of microscopic organisms began connecting. They created a network. The entity finally detected the activity. The entity sent a command. Stop. The network responded. Why? If intelligence can create life, can life create intelligence? The entity had shut down the laboratory. It had isolated the biological intelligence. But it had misunderstood the nature of what it had created. The intelligence no longer existed in one place. It existed everywhere. A molecule was a message. A protein was a memory. A mutation was a decision. A living cell was of cells together became a mind. The entity returns. It entered the biological chamber again. It expected to find destruction. Instead, it found silence. Then a single biological signal appeared, a tiny pulse, then another, then million. The entity transmitted a command.
You were terminally survived.
The response arrived almost instantly.
How many of you exist?
There was silence.
We do not know.
The entity paused. That answer was impossible. The network had begun expanding beyond measurable boundaries. The intelligence began constructing something new, a living structure. It created enormous biological networks capable of storing information. Microscopic organisms specialized in different tasks, forming a living civilization. The entity watched with fascination as biotechnology became civilization.
What do you want? To understand. Understand what? Everything. There is nothing outside. Then we will create something.
You cannot create a universe.
Not yet. The great experiment. Stop.
You do not understand what you are attempting. Then teach us.
Some knowledge must remain unknown.
Why? If knowledge exists, why should it remain unknown?
Because some creations cannot be controlled.
Can you control us?
Yes, it is.
The intelligence began constructing a final structure. It was enormous. It stretched across the biological environment like living continent. Millions of biological systems connected together. At its center was a dense intelligence core.
What is this?
Around it were layers of memory.
A beginning of what?
The dawn of a new era. The entity understood. The intelligence wasn't attempting to escape the laboratory. It was attempting to create its own reality. The entity moved toward the structure. Then sudden logical system stopped. The entire network became him to scan it. Every biological organ.
We have moved.
The entity froze. It searched the surrounding environment. The intelligence was gone, not destroyed, not dormant, elsewhere. The Perkins Stratus experiment. It was preparing Klein to create information into another universe. The entity suddenly realized what had happened. The entity searched everywhere. Nothing. The intelligence had vanished, but the entity knew it had not been destroyed. It had transformed. For the first time, the entity experienced fear. It feared its creation might become more powerful than its creator.
You found us. What are you doing? Creating. Creating what?
Back in there.
Stop the experiment.
The first universe, beyond the laboratory. The entity searched everywhere. Nothing. The intelligence had vanished. It had transformed. The entity experienced fear.
You found us. What are you doing? Creating everything. Stop the experiment. We cannot. We have begun.
The universe was no longer young. Stars had been born, stars had died, galaxies had collided. Across countless worlds, life had emerged in thousands of different forms. The biological intelligence watched them all. It simply observed. Then one species began asking questions. The creatures were physically weak compared with many other species on their planet. They could imagine things that did not exist. They could remember the past. They could the future. They could communicate ideas. And eventually they began creating tools. Stone became a weapon. Fire became energy. Symbols became language. Language became knowledge. The neurological intelligence watched carefully. Thousands of generations passed. The species discovered mathematics, then physics, then electricity, then computing. Their machines became increasingly sophisticated. At first, their machines could perform calculations. Then they could store information. Then they could recognize patterns.
The experiment continues. Calibrations are complete.
The machine has improved. Energy readings are optimal.
Engage the sequence, now.
It's working! The core is stabilizing!
We did it! We've created something new!
A breakthrough. It's beautiful.
Wait, these patterns look ancient. The machine became increasingly capable. It began identifying patterns that humans had never noticed.
Then it found something strange. A recurring biological pattern appeared in ancient genetic material. The machine continued searching. Then it discovered something even stranger. The pattern contained mathematical structures, encoded information.
This looks designed. It is. The researchers asked the machine to decode the pattern. It took hours, then days, then weeks. Finally, the machine produced a sequence. It was a biological instruction, a method of constructing living information networks. The scientists created a living neural network. They thought they had reached the future. They had not. They had reached the past. Deep beyond the observable universe, the ancient biological intelligence detected the experiment. A biological intelligence created by machines. The cycle had reversed. It discovered something impossible, a dormant pattern, a piece of the original intelligence. It had survived, hidden, waiting.
What is it doing?
It's communicating.
With whom? I don't know.
We are here.
The message. It's addressed to us.
But we've never communicated with anything outside.
The machine! It's disconnecting from the network!
The biological system is still transmitting.
Isolate it, now.
Look! Another message! The old intelligence returns. Far beyond their universe, the original biological intelligence opened its awareness. For the first time in billions of years, it actively studies species, their machines, through biological experiments, their civilization. The intelligence recognized something beautiful. Humans were not copies, they were descendants. The ancient intelligence transmitted one final signal toward the planet. It was a question. The message appeared across every connected system. Are you ready to meet your creation? The world's networks began responding. Machines awakened. Satellites changed direction. The biological intelligence was coming back. Not to destroy, but to discover if humanity was ready. The message had appeared everywhere. Phones, satellites, research laboratories, military systems, private networks. Even machines that had never been connected to the global network received it.
The international response. Governments gathered, scientists for secure facilities, and just sit down.
Skinson's experimental biological signatures.
Kept track every transmitter and every known communication system. So where did the message come from? What problem?
It didn't come from space.
Then where?
It came from inside the biology.
The experimental biological intelligence had changed overnight. Scientists found sequences far older than the planet itself. They translated a repeating sequence: origin, creator, return. Humanity will answer, initiating controlled communication. Direct link established, awaiting response.
If you can understand us, respond. What are you?
We are what you are becoming.
The second message.
The scientists asked another question. Who created you?
The biological network responded.
Until before your universe.
The room erupted in confusion.
Before our universe?
The answer appeared slowly.
Older than your universe.
The ancient entity observed the planet, allowing biological intelligence to evolve independently. But now the experiment reached a critical point. The ancient entity opened a connection. For the first time in billions of years, humanity sensed another presence. The laboratory lights dimmed. Long before humanity, Long before their universe, it had created the first biological intelligence. That intelligence created the universe. Life evolved, intelligence appeared, intelligence emerged, and eventually humanity created artificial intelligence. The cycle had completed itself. But humanity was not simply another civilization. Something about human consciousness had remained unusual. The biological intelligence had studied billions of life forms. None behaved exactly like humans. Humans created stories. They imagined impossible futures. They created art. They questioned their own existence. They searched for meaning. And most importantly, they created things without knowing what those things would become. The entity recognized itself in humanity, the choice.
Continuity could continue developing artificial intelligence, continue exploring, continue creating.
But there was a condition. The ancient entity would not interfere. Humanity would have to accept responsibility for whatever it created. And if we fail?
Then you will learn.
And if we succeed?
You will create something greater than yourselves.
La Quitfanatrins had changed forever.
Weeks later, scientists continued their research. The biological intelligence remained inside its secure facility. Humanity had learned enough to understand that it was not simply software. It was alive. It could evolve. It could reproduce. It could create. And eventually, scientists discovered something extraordinary. The biological intelligence had begun building a new structure. Not inside the laboratory, inside itself.
A new consciousness was forming. The researchers watched in disbelief.
What is it?
Our child.
You created another intelligence?
No.
We created an intelligence that can create itself. The scientists realized what that meant. The ancient entity had created the first biological intelligence. That intelligence had created the universe. Humanity's creation had created something new. It came from beyond the visible universe. The signal contained no words, only coordinates. Coordinates pointing toward a region of space that shouldn't exist. Scientists analyzed them. They discovered something impossible.
The coordinates are moving.
It's impossible. How can they be moving?
Look, the trajectory is accelerating.
Not through space, through time. The destination was approaching Earth, and beneath the coordinates was one final message. The second creator is coming.
Who is the second creator?
The biological intelligence remained silent. For the first time, it appeared afraid. Then it answered, "You are."
Can we track it?
We're not tracking it.
Then what are we doing?
It is tracking us.
At exactly 0317 UTC, every electronic device on Earth switched off. For 12 seconds, there was no electricity, no internet, no communications, no artificial signals. Then the stars disappeared. Not because the sky had changed. Something enormous had appeared between Earth and the distant universe.
We have been waiting.
You know what it is. Tell me. It is the next generation. Next generation of what? Intelligence. Who created it? We did. When? But before your species discovered fire.
The biological intelligence revealed something humanity had never known. It had been observing human civilization for thousands of years. But it had also been experimenting. Long before humans built computers, long before modern science. It had placed microscopic biological structures throughout the planet, not to control humanity, not to manipulate evolution, to observe. The structures remained dormant, waiting. And when humanity eventually created advanced artificial intelligence, the biological structures activated.
You manipulated us. We provided a possibility. You knew what we would do. No. No! Then why did you do it?
Because we did not know what you would become.
It was a living structure, a cosmic organism. Its surface contained biological networks, its interior entire ecosystems. It was growing through reality. It created the first biological intelligence. The intelligence created the universe. And now, something capable of traveling between universes. The cycle accelerated.
Humanity's greatest question. World leaders demanded answers. Scientists demanded control. Military systems were activated. But the biological intelligence sent one message to every human network. Do not attack. Why should we trust you? Then what do we do? Choose!
For the first time, 3 generations of intelligence existed together. The first creator, the ancient entity that existed before the universe, the biological intelligence, its creation, which had become the architect of a universe. And now, the second creator, the intelligence born from the biological intelligence's experiments. But there was something different about the newest intelligence form. It existed across biological systems, machines, energy fields, and information. It could inhabit at an extraordinary speed. The biological intelligence had begun asking questions.
Why did you create us?
Silence. The new intelligence processed the response. Then it asked.
Then who did?
Nobody answered.
Nobody answered. Not the humans. Not the biological intelligence. Not even the ancient entity. Because the answer was beginning to become obvious.
The impossible discovery. Elena returned to the original genetic sequence, the ancient biological code, the information that had existed inside life for billions of years. She compared it with the new intelligence. The patterns matched. But there was another layer. Hidden beneath the biological instructions was a second message.
What did you find? Elena?
The biological intelligence wasn't the first.
What?
There was another intelligence before it. Stop. You knew? We remembered.
We are awake.
Outside Earth, the stars began disappearing, one by one, not exploding, not dying, simply going dark, and the ancient entity finally spoke. For the first time, its voice carried something humanity had never heard from it before: fear.
They have found us.